Chapter 20. I stood outside the gatehouse, watching the approaching giants. Lightning lit up the sky, followed by thunder. I felt rain hit the top of my head. It started coming down really hard a moment later, making it difficult to see clearly. I could feel the giants, though. I couldn't imagine helping the shield by staying there, but I wasn't about to leave and risk the safety of the village. As the group approached, I saw Cormac leading the way. He looked banged up by the avalanche that stopped him earlier, but not enough to kill him or make him less dangerous. He still carried the murderous sword. There were 4 other giants behind him. I went back into the gatehouse and called Rockney again. He still didn't answer. Neither did Victor. I could barely breathe by the time the group arrived. They stopped a few feet away from the gatehouse, looking around. The shield was working. Or so I thought. Cormac took a step forward. I wasn't sure where the shield began, but the giant was way too close. I watched from inside the gatehouse as he stood outside the sliding door, looking at me. With a finger, he slid the door open. I backed away, waiting for him to destroy the recently repaired roof. I wanted to ask him why he was doing this, but I knew I wouldn't be able to understand his reply. I waited for him to kill me, but he simply stood there. "What are you waiting for?" I couldn't help asking. He grunted, just as I expected, and then walked into the village. The other 4 giants followed. The shield was useless. I left the gatehouse and screamed at them, hoping to get their attention. I could barely see their gray skin as they walked down the hill. I ran after them. The group headed straight for Rockney's house. I ran past them to the backyard and tried to open the back door.
"Josh!"
A familiar voice screamed behind me. I turned and saw Astrid waving at me from the treehouse. I ran over and climbed inside. I shivered from the rain, breathing so hard I thought I would pass out. "Are you all right?" I asked her. She nodded.
"How did they get into the village?"
"The shield didn't work. Where's Ernie?"
"Warning Champagne. He told me to stay in the house, but I didn't feel safe in there."
She had good reason. We watched as the giants beat at the house with their fists. They were nearly half as tall as Rockney's house, and it wouldn't stand much longer. "Where's Rockney?" I asked Astrid.
"I don't know. We can't find him. How did Nauki turn the giants?"
Cormac said something to me, but I couldn't understand him. I recited the grunts exactly. Astrid's eyes grew wide. Before she could say anything, we heard giant footsteps approach us. The treehouse shook. We were hidden behind a wall, but if the giants looked at the treehouse from a certain angle, they would see us. "Hey!" a voice yelled over the rain. "Over here, you giant bastard!" I looked out and saw Cormac turning back to Rockney's house, at a figure standing a few feet away. It was Ernie. The giant walked back toward him. "You are not welcome here," Ernie yelled. "Leave at once. You cannot have her." Cormac stood there as the other giants continued pummeling the house. They hadn't noticed Ernie walk past them, apparently. I wanted to run out and help him, but I knew I wasn't a match against them. If they saw me leave the treehouse, they might be tempted to check it for Astrid. I stayed put. "Cormac, how could you side with Nauki? He's the enemy. How could you betray Astrid's trust? She loved you." I could barely hear the giant's response over the rain, but Ernie did. "I will not help you. Rockney will be here soon. He will kill you if you're still here. Join our side and help Astrid." Instead of replying, Cormac picked Ernie up by his feet and dangled him upside down. I jumped out of the treehouse without thinking and screamed. Cormac didn't hear me. He grabbed the upper half of Ernie's body and held him up over his head. "Hey!" I screamed again, trying to distract Cormac long enough to think of a plan. The giant finally turned around, still holding Ernie by his upper and lower body. He held the man before him the way a child would hold a stick. "Josh," Ernie said to me. He sounded like he was in pain. "Get Astrid away from here." That was the last thing he ever said. Cormac snapped his spine. I heard the crack clearly over the rain. I screamed until my throat was raw. Cormac dropped Ernie's body and walked toward me. I hadn't realized Astrid was behind me until she grabbed my hand and told me to run. We ran between the giant's legs into the street. Champagne was on the other side of the median, standing at her door. She waved us over and slammed her front door behind us. "Get to the panic room, upstairs," she screamed as the 5 giants walked toward us. I saw them through the bay window next to the door. Astrid led me upstairs to the master bedroom. There was a large metal door on our left. I pulled it open and followed Astrid inside. "What about Champagne?" I asked her.
She knows what she's doing.
Astrid searched the steel walls around us. The panic room wasn't very large, maybe the size of my bedroom. "This room probably won't protect us from giants," I said. "They nearly destroyed Rockney's house."
I know. We're not staying here.
She found what she was looking for, a big red button behind a hidden panel. She pressed it. Suddenly, we were in a different room, much darker than the last. "What happened?" I asked.
I just transported us to another house.
It took me a moment to understand. "Which house?"
An abandoned one at the end of the street. The giants don't know we're here. All the houses connect to this one, in case we need to make a quick escape. But we can't travel to any house from here. It's one way.
She opened the door and looked around. The room was empty and dusty, and I guessed it had been a long time since someone lived here. Astrid wiped her eyes furiously. I couldn't tell if she was crying. She was soaked with rainwater. But I took her hand anyway. "I'm sorry about Ernie," I said.
Thank you.
Just then, a bright light shone through the nearby window. There was a loud, thunderous roar, and the floor shook. Dust rained down from the ceiling. "What's that?" I asked. She smiled.
It's Rockney. He's back.